Johnson.
Oh, I thought you were.
Run over me when I'm running and walking in the morning. And
That's one of my pet peeves.
That is
I got
transportation or
friends in the hospital now.
whatever they're calling it these days. They changed the name to confuse people.
Transportation.
That's because she jumped on the trend.
No rules and regulations.
But timing was perfect.
It don't
Now Monday, yeah,
Oh, that's it about.
finance and taxation. We ready?
Good.
We good? Okay, fantastic.
Your button on. The
Good evening, everyone. Call to order this meeting of the Village of Royal Palm Beach Council, and it is Thursday, October the 16th, 2025.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
It's still October the 16th, 2025. It is 6:30 p.m., and I'm calling to order this meeting of the Village of Royal Palm Beach Council. I would normally just say simply, would you all stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, but tonight we have a special treat. We have Scout Troop 111 here this evening to both present the colors for us and then also to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So, Scout Leader, turn it over to you.
Please rise for the presentation of the colors. Color Guard, advance. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Color Guard, post the colors. You may be seated.
Well, thank you all, Troop 111. We really appreciate that. We always appreciate your participation in any of the village activities, and we look forward to seeing you on Veterans Day, November 11th. Hopefully you'll be there. This troop is pretty remarkable. I don't really know the exact number of Eagle Scouts, but I know it's more than 50 that the troop has actually produced, and I believe they have 2 that scouts right now that are working toward their Eagle Scout badge. So congratulations, and thank you so much for being a part of tonight's council meeting. We really do appreciate that, and hopefully you'll get something out of spending some time with us as well. So it might be worth a badge of some sort, right? It's got to contribute to something like that. Yeah. I knew you weren't just here because you love the idea. But it's really great to have you here, and you did a fantastic job. You really did. Appreciate that so much. So let us move on then to the roll call. Madam Clerk, let the record show that all the members of the council are present.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I will.
And the next order of business is reports, council reports. And also, I will not forget the village manager and the village attorney this time. So I'm saying that so I don't forget. So let's begin with Councilwoman Brodusky.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I attended the Recreation Advisory Board meeting on September 15th. The Events and Facilities Manager, Silvio, reported on numerous events taking place between October through the end of the year, including tomorrow night's food truck and concert featuring a foreigner tribute band. And the next Recreation Advisory Board meeting is coming this Monday on October 20th, and we will hear from the Senior Program Supervisor, Shakira, on all the things going on in that program. The Literacy Coalition is celebrating 20 years of Jumpstart Read for the Record. I have a little gift for my fellow council. They created these little placemats for us. And to kick off the event, they announced that this year's book is See Marcus Grow. And the mayor and I had the opportunity to hear from the author Marcus Bridgewater, who shared a few stories of his youth, growing up with his grandmother, who was really the inspiration for the book. And for this milestone anniversary read for the record is a 20-week celebration. It began on October 13th and it'll end with the reading day on February 26, 2026. And we hope that our council and our staff and community volunteers will sign up to read on that day with us. Moving on to the Florida League of Cities, tomorrow we'll hold the second of 3 policy meetings tomorrow. I serve on the Utilities, Natural Resources, and Public Works Committee, and we have learned about 6 possible options. At the first meeting tomorrow, we will have a further discussion and then vote on the final policy and priority. And so I will bring those to you at our next meeting. Additionally, I have been appointed again to the Federal Action Strike Team, and that first meeting will be in December. That is when the collective goes to Washington and meets with our congresswoman. Lastly, I had the opportunity to attend the ribbon cutting today for our newest community in Royal Palm, Atlantico. And if you don't know this is a new residence off of Southern behind Lowe's. It is absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous. I brought a little brochure. It's got a couple of the footprints on there, just to share. You guys can take a look if you weren't there. Most importantly about this, we want to welcome all our residents who are living in Atlantico and making sure that they're feeling welcome as new residents of Royal Palm. And I have the property manager's information. I will share with our social media person to make sure that we connect them so that they're getting newsletters and calendar invites so they can share with the residents. And that's what I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Great. Thank you. Councilman Miller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. Let's see, lots of things going on in October. I was able to attend the Rockin' Fall Festival on October 3rd and 4th, and I just have to give it to our Parks and Rec department. They do an amazing job. We really appreciate it. October 4th, I was able to attend a firefighter event with our village manager and our mayor. The village manager and I got to dress up as firefighters, put on all the gear, put out some fires, simulated fires, used the jaws of life, which are very heavy, by the way. But it reminded me, I always appreciate firefighters, right? We all do. But it reminded me that, when our firefighters, when we need them, we want them to have the best training. We want them to have the best tools at their disposal because we want them to take care of us and we want them to take care of you. So we need to make sure we keep their funding for firefighters and our sheriff's office too, where it needs to be. October 8th, I was able to attend the Literacy Night at Royal Palm Beach Elementary School. They brought in parents from not just Royal Palm Beach Elementary, but also Cypress Trails and H.L. Johnson Elementary. It was great. The parents learned skills on reading with their children, which was great. And there was friends from the Royal Palm Beach Library were there, and it was great seeing those principals. Also on October 11th, we had the first green market of the season, which was just amazing. My oldest daughter and I attended. We spent way too much money. I think the best part was the coconuts. They're chopping up. We could drink right out of the coconuts. That was great. A lot of big variety of vendors. Just a wonderful thing. And lastly, my AI tip of the month for my fellow council members. Some of our zoning amendments sometimes are a little dense. Right, so one way to use AI to help for residents is you could put in the prompt, rewrite the zoning amendment summary so residents can easily understand the main changes and how it affects them. And it'll pop it out in just 2 seconds. So, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Vice Mayor?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Councilwoman Sharps?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I'm very excited to say that I went to the Young at Heart luncheon on the 3rd, and oh my God, it's awesome. I'm so happy that first of all, I live in Royal Palm Beach, and I'm really happy that I'm old enough to be a member of Young at Heart, because we had way more fun we did when I was younger. So it was a great time to be had. I mean, they danced me to death, so I was very sore the next day. I'm not doing that again. But it was a really great event. And if you know anybody that's 60 and above, tell them about Young at Heart. They'll enjoy it. Last night, PBSO, the National Night Out, was so awesome. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic. I personally love police officers. I definitely love fire and rescue because, you know, they saved me and my dad, so I have a special place in my heart for them. But I found out that the rescue helicopter, not the one that takes you to the hospital, you know, from an accident or something, the rescue one that actually will pick you up out of the water and swing you over and drop you off to get some help, it goes 150 miles an hour. Isn't that awesome? Okay, nobody excited but me? Fine. Yeah, but I mean, it was made me happy. I like motorcycles too. But regardless, they work so hard, and I am really so grateful to them that they dedicate their life to be able to, you know, help take care of ours as well as other, you know, people do. But I really love them. I did send an email. I will not be at the meeting tomorrow for the Florida League of Cities because my better half's 44-year high school reunion is occurring tomorrow, so we have to go there and see all the other old people because we're still young. And but I did send an email to the Intergovernmental Board that the committee that I was appointed to regarding the need for some type of insurance. In my mind, tell me if I'm wrong, for electric skateboarders and electric bicycles. Hospital now, they got run over by one, and they didn't have any insurance. So I really think there should be some insurance requirements because they go really, 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 really fast. They pass by my house faster than my car. And then last but not least, there is ethics training, which we are all required to do, coming up on 10/30/31/25, Halloween. I thought that was funny. But anyway, it'll be from 8 to 12 in Lake Worth. Just wanted to make a note about that because I'll definitely be there. And that's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Well, thank you. We can wear our costumes as council members to the ethics training. That sounds great. So this evening I want to report on something I report on pretty regularly, and that is the countywide transportation master plan. This is a joint effort, and that's really important between all of the 39 municipalities in Palm Beach County and Palm Beach County. And it's an effort to put together a plan for the future creation of options for transportation here in Palm Beach County. I think it's safe to say that most people experience traffic congestion from time to time here. And unfortunately, the truth is, as somebody once told me when they said, well, how was your commute today? And my answer was, well, it was pretty tough. And they said, well, that's as good as it's going to get unless we do something different. So that's what this countywide transportation master plan is all about. It's being done in a collaborative way, which is unique. I have not seen that in the time that I've been involved here locally, where the county and the municipalities really get together and work to come up with something in common. And this plan is intended to be that. It's intended to provide a mix of different options to getting in your car, for individuals who are inclined maybe to use transit of one sort or another, or just locally, improving the connections that we make by bicycle or by electric scooter, and that type of thing. So it's a very comprehensive plan, but the thing that makes it really unique is it's connected with our plans for land use. So as we plan for developments and things of that nature in our communities, it has a dramatic effect on traffic. And so putting those together in a realistic fashion allows us to come up with the best possible mix, both of what's going to be developed where or redeveloped where, and what kind of transportation will be available so as to give people options other than getting in their car. At the end of the day, that will take us from a difficult commute to one that at least will be tolerable. As I tell people, we came from Northern Virginia, and our experience was that we really did see traffic go from barely tolerable to totally intolerable, and it has a tremendous effect on the quality of life. So it's a really, really an important initiative. I have kind of an administrative effort, though, I need to offer up to the council, and that is, as I found out, working through the Intergovernmental Coordination Program, which is the way that we bring the county and the municipalities together, there are 3 separate organizations that are involved in this. One is called the Executive Committee. The next one is called the Issues Forum. And the third one is the technical group, which is called IPARC, and I'm not going to even try to remember what that stands for. But together, we do the coordination, the oversight of the preparation of this plan. It's a really, really powerful thing. Well, come to find out, we're only allowed to have one official representative from each one of the municipalities. It turns out, because I was a past president of League of Cities, I found myself on the executive committee. It turns out that we also have another member of our council on the Issues Forum. So I'm going to ask the council, actually I'm going to ask Councilwoman Rodesky if she would mind if I took the representation of the Royal Palm Beach position going forward. I would like to be able to stay with this.
Yeah, and I think it's an important thing to talk about because with both of us on, we are trying to figure out if there's sunshine violations at some point, even though they publicly notice the meetings. But deferring to you and then making me the alternate would be fine.
Okay, that's great. Do we need to do a motion and a vote on that, or is just a consensus on that good enough?
I think in the past there actually has been formal action, so if that's the desire, I think that needs to come back. Or you can, I guess, amend the agenda for tonight to add that if you want to do a formal approval. But historically, if you've done the appointment by formal action.
Okay.
By motion, second, and vote.
Could we do that right now?
If there's consensus of the council to add that to the agenda.
Would that be all right? Anybody object? Okay, not seeing any objections, then I'd entertain a motion. I can't make it.
Go ahead. You know.
I'll make a motion to appoint Mayor Jeff Hemera to the Issues Forum and the other 2 entities for transportation, and appoint myself as the alternate just for the Issues Forum.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any opposed. It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, then continuing on with the report, I wanted to also talk about the Education Advisory Board. Are there any members of the Youth Civic Leadership Program that we have ongoing with? We have one. Great. We have ongoing with Royal Palm Beach High School. We just began that actually at the Education Advisory Board meeting that we had last Monday before. We had about 32 members of the program in attendance, and they were recognized by Dr. Robinson, who is the principal of Royal Palm Beach High School. So we have one member. Would you like to stand so we can acknowledge you? And we thank you for being here this evening. So speaking of being a representative, you're now representing all 37 of those that are on the program. Thank you. I appreciate that. And thanks for being here. Make sure that you sign in so we give you credit for that. Okay? And so let me talk a little bit more about that Education Advisory Board meeting. First of all, the room was full, and I really enjoyed seeing everybody. Dr. Robinson is relatively new. I guess she's been at Royal Palm Beach High School now for 2 years, and she's very proud of the school moving up to a B rating. She's even more proud and excited about the trajectory they're on, which is likely to take them to an A rating. Right now in Royal Palm Beach, we have a total of 6 schools, and 5 of those schools are A-rated, and the one B-rated school is Royal Palm Beach High School. So there are a lot of specific activities, I won't get into it, that she described, focusing on something that a lot of people don't think about, and that is in any organization, there's always going to be folks who are not quite as able to perform as well as some of the others. So typically refer to the lower performing students as a 25%. And if you think about achievement, what comes to mind in a group is a rising tide lifts all boats. And so there's a focus on the that 25% of the student population, which I think will result in eventually an A rating at Royal Palm Beach High School. There's some great programs there right now, if you're not familiar with them. International Baccalaureate program is fantastic. It is a very challenging program, and I understand that this year, if they continue all the way through to what they expect to be the award of a substantial number of international baccalaureate diplomas, they will have awarded a higher percentage of IB diplomas than any other high school in Palm Beach County. So there are a lot of great things going on in Royal Palm Beach. If that's not enough, do any of you all know about something called quantum computing? Any of you all familiar with that? I see one head nod, sort of. I'm not going to ask any questions, promise. I don't know that much about it either. And I really didn't look it up until, actually, I heard that the Business Development Board had done a seminar on quantum computing. It's a rapidly advancing industry that's more than just the kind of computing that's necessary to do AI. It provides extraordinary power, speed, above and beyond any supercomputers. It's a brand new, innovative technology, and Palm Beach County is trying to attract those businesses here for obvious reasons. Well, good for our school system, good for our school district. They recognize that, and so they are setting up some academies, some special programs to teach quantum computing. And one of those programs is going to be at Royal Palm Beach High School. So we're getting some really great programs at the high school. Congratulations to those of you all who have the opportunity to attend and experience those things, and look forward to seeing more great things coming out of Royal Palm Beach High School. I have one other thing I did want to report on, and, well, two things, actually. One is the Florida League of Cities Legislative Priorities Committee meeting, and the committee that I'm on this year is Taxation and Finance. Now, I'm not really a finance person, but this year, with some initiatives on the governor's part and some of the House and Senate in Tallahassee, there is an idea, an initiative to either eliminate property taxes or to substantially reduce them. And while if somebody asked me, would you like to pay less taxes, I'd raise my hand. Absolutely. The reality is these funds tend to be as much as 50% of some municipal budgets. They're about 30% of ours. And at some point in time, we're going to have to figure out how do we deal with this initiative as part of our Florida League of Cities legislative priorities. So we've got our work cut out for us. And I think we'll come up with something good. And this, while initially it feels like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? I mean, if you were running a business and somebody said you're going to have to continue running your business with 30% less revenue, that's a serious problem. But then if you stop and think, but are there alternatives? Are there other ways to acquire the funds that are necessary to continue to deliver services? It helps to get creative. It helps to find these things that perhaps we hadn't talked about before. So I'm looking for the bright spot in this rather challenging initiative that's going on at our state legislature. So last thing I want to mention is it's rather rare, at least it has been for me, to be able to recognize one of our employees based upon I guess it was an email that we received about this individual and his outstanding service that he provided. Ray, is Andrew here this evening? Okay. Well, I'm going to recognize him anyway, and I think it's especially noteworthy because Andrew Arminetti, I think is how you pronounce his name, is a code enforcement officer. Now, that job is a pretty challenging job in a variety of ways, but it's really, really important to our community. It maintains the beauty of our community. It maintains the safety of our community. And without code enforcement, we would not be the Royal Palm Beach that we are. So it's a tough job, And for somebody to sit down and write a letter praising a code enforcement officer is pretty extraordinary. So I felt like it was appropriate to recognize that. And so here it is. Code enforcement is one of the toughest jobs in local government. Officers like Andrew Armienti are usually in the spotlight when something is wrong. And too often, the hard work that they do to maintain the quality of life in our community goes unnoticed. But every once in a while, a resident takes the time to share how much of a difference one of our employees made. And that's exactly what happened here. We received a letter from Jackie Drake, a resident Palm Beach Trace, who wrote about the exceptional service that she received from Andrew. She described how he responded on the very same day she reached out, how he communicated clearly and professionally, and how he worked with her schedule to personally walk the property and explain what steps the community needed to take. She called his patience, his professionalism, and his guidance the difference between a successful situation and a constructive path forward. It was a stressful situation, that is, and the constructive path forward. Jackie summed it up by saying, employees like Andrew reflect highly on the village of Royal Palm Beach and make a real difference in our community. So I want to acknowledge a great job done and congratulate Andrew and Rob Hill for his leadership. And I thank that code enforcement team. They do a great job in our community. So I just wanted to make mention of that. And that, I think, completes my report. I know you all probably saying that's enough. I think I just heard that from my left here. So moving on with the agenda. Our next on our agenda is petitions. Are there... Oh, I did it again. Okay, as I said earlier, I try real hard not to forget that we also offer the opportunity to give reports to our village manager and village attorney, and then I ignored that. So I'm going to recover, hopefully, by saying, Mr. Manager, do you have a report?
You know, I'm going to save my report for the last agenda item.
Madam Attorney?
Mr. Mayor, no report other than Keith has not disappeared. He was a bit under the weather, so he decided not to come and expose the council to whatever he has. So,
Okay,
yes,
well, we
but I'm happy to
appreciate-
be with you all.
We appreciate that. We hope that he gets better very quickly. Okay, now it's time for petitions. Are there any petitions come before the council this evening?
No, Mayor.
Do we have any hands raised that might have to do with petitions? I don't know whether we do that or not.
No, Mayor.
Okay. Are there any petitions from the audience? Not seeing any, then I'll close the floor to petitions, and we'll move to statements from the public on non-agenda or consent agenda items.
We have one on non-agenda items.
Okay. So I have a non-agenda item comment from Cecile. I cannot pronounce that last name. In fact, I'm not even sure I can read it. Pereira? Please help me with that pronunciation so I don't feel so bad about it. Pereira. Okay.
First, we'd like to thank you for giving us the time on the floor to bring this.
I can just ask you two things. Please turn on your mic, and then also if you would say your name again and also your address, please, for the record.
My name is Robert Stack. I live at 1111 Suwannee Drive, West Palm Beach, but I currently work at the Royal Palm Beach location for T-Mobile at 280 South State Road 7, Unit 200. As I was saying, we appreciate you guys giving us the time on the floor. And as you're well aware, on October 25th is First Responders Appreciation Day. And T-Mobile would actually like to show that appreciation by hosting an event for our first responders, their families. It'll include free activities, giveaways, and also, most importantly, food. Everyone loves food. We've already acquired a few parking spots from the landlord with the landlord's permission. We're just here to formally ask for permission to be allowed to have this event in said parking lot.
I think that's a special event permit, right?
That would require a special event permit, and it needs to be, we have a specific form for that, and it would need to be done 45 days in advance.
We already submitted.
Oh,
Well, if we have it, then it's in the process, and it'll be in front of council within 45 days of us receiving it.
that's probably not going to work for this particular event.
All right. We
Yeah,
appreciate you giving us the time.
October the 25th, you said, right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see any way that we can make that happen on such short notice, but still certainly can invite the first responders to.
Correct, first responders, families, and it's also open to the public. So we are able to actually have the event inside the store since that's considered private property. We will be continuing with that as long as that's within the rules.
Within the building is perfectly fine.
Right.
Well, we hope to see everybody there. As I'm sure you're well aware, we all like to give that appreciation to those who risk their lives, save lives every single day of the week.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing that. And
Thank you.
hopefully next year, 45 days in advance. So, all right, that's great. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. I know the first responders will enjoy the recognition. And thank you.
Thank you.
All right, great. Are there any other comments from the public?
No,
Do we have
Mayor.
any other cards? Any hands raised? Okay, so then there not being any other comments, are there any comments from the audience at this point on any non-agenda items or any consent agenda items? Not seeing any, then we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. So I will turn to our clerk and ask her to go ahead and read the consent agenda item into the record.
Yes, Mayor, I will. Thank you. Number 1, approval of the minutes of the first public budget hearing of September 11th, 2025, final public budget hearing of September 18th, 2025, and council regular meeting of September 18th, 2025. 2, approval and authorization for the village manager to execute the 6th addendum to food and beverage services agreement between the village and Seeds Cafe, LLC, to provide for the 4th and final one-year renewal term beginning October 1st, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026. 3, adoption of resolution number 2532, a resolution of the Village Council of the Village of Royal Palm Beach, Florida, providing for the approval and authorization for Palm Beach County Fire Rescue to display the village seal on the fire rescue apparatus assigned to the Village of Royal Palm Beach. Further providing that this use is for a proper civic purpose, providing an effective date and for other purposes. 4, approval of special event permit for Mission Barbecue Company to hold a Veterans Day celebration honoring our local heroes, Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, Palm Beach County Fire and Rescue, and active duty military and veterans at Mission Barbecue Restaurant located at 11929 Southern Boulevard. The event will take place during business hours on November 11th, 2025. 5, approval of special event permit for H.L. Johnson Elementary School, School District of Palm Beach County, to hold a winter concert at Commons Park Amphitheater stage at 11600 Poinciana Boulevard on December 9th, 2025 from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. and December 11th, 2025 from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. 6, approval of a special event permit for Our Lady Queen of the Apostles Catholic Church to hold a Christmas Village and Festival at 100 Crestwood Boulevard on December 5th, 6th, 12th, and 13th, 2025 from 4 p.m. until 11 p.m. and December 7th and 14th, 2025 from 4 p.m. until 10 p.m. 7, approval and authorization to renew Navaline Enterprise Resource Planning ERP software, including Analytic Now, annual licensing and support agreement with Superion Public Sector Incorporated in the amount of $72,070.74. 8, adoption resolution number 2533, a resolution of the Village Council of the Village of Royal Palm Beach, Florida, authorizing the village to enter into a local agency program agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation concerning the grant of federal funds for the construction of sidewalk connections for existing sidewalks to the edge of pavement along with replacing non-ADA curb ramps and updating pavement markings at various locations throughout the Village of Royal Palm Beach. providing authorization for the mayor to execute the agreement, providing an effective date, and for other purposes. 9, adoption of resolution number 2534, a resolution of the Village Council of the Village of Royal Palm Beach, Florida, authorizing the village to enter into a local agency program agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation concerning the grant of federal funds for the construction of kiosks with maps along with shelters featuring bicyclist and pedestrian amenities at various locations throughout the Village of Royal Palm Beach, providing authorization for the mayor to execute the agreement, providing an effective date, and for other purposes. 10, adoption of resolution number 2538, a resolution of the Village Council of the Village of Royal Palm Beach, Florida, declaring certain personal property owned by the village to be either surplus to its needs and sold at a publicly noticed sale, or determined to be obsolete, non-serviceable, or beyond economic repair pursuant to and in accordance with the provisions and requirements of Section 2-3 of the Village Code, and authorizing the village to remove such surplus property when sold or disposed of from the fixed assets of the village, and rescinding the prior declaration for asset number 4256 and allowing for retention of this asset. 11, approval and authorization for the village manager to execute the first addendum to General Planning and Development Review Services Agreement to extend the agreement with Urbana LLC for the first of 2 available one-year renewal terms beginning November 23rd, 2025 and ending November 22nd, 2026. 12, approval and authorization for the mayor to sign the co-location agreement between the Village of Royal Palm Beach and Cellco Partnership, doing business as Verizon Wireless, regarding the cell tower site at 1050 Royal Palm Beach Boulevard.
Great, thank you. So just for our scouts and also our Royal Palm Beach High School representative here, a consent agenda is an opportunity to actually consider a number of routine matters all at one time. Now, it doesn't mean, in fact, I will ask the council, that we can't address any one of those 12 items that are of particular interest or require some further explanation. So while we go through this rather quickly, we, of course, have looked closely at each one of these items before we come to the meeting. And so it is a matter of making more efficient doing the business of the Village of Royal Palm Beach when we have consent agenda items like this. Now, having said that, I'll turn to the council and see if any council member would like to pull any of those agenda items.
Yes, please. I'd like to pull 8 and 9.
8 and 9. Any other? Okay. Not hearing any, then I would entertain a motion and a second for all the consent agenda items except consent agenda item number 8 and number 9.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer consent of the consent agenda items except 8 and 9 to be considered for approval.
Okay. I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any opposed. All of those items minus 8 and 9 are actually approved then. So now I'll turn to Councilwoman Rodewski.
Thank you. 8 and 9 referred to FDOT grants. And whenever we get a grant, I like to bring those to the forefront because it means that we're using state money instead of our money. So Ray, are you going to take this? Thank you. Talk about the amounts that we're getting in both of those grants?
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, number 8, the ADA, is an $840,000 project, which we were originally going to receive a grant of $531,000, so our share would have been $300,000. It was increased to $700,000, with our share being $140,000. On the wayfinding, it's a $1.5 million project with $700,000 worth of grants originally, with our share being $824,000. That got increased $570,000. The grant portion of it did, and our share resulted in $254,000. So between the two projects, I mean, our share is $390,000, which was a considerable savings. And that savings will be the project stays the exact same, and what the savings does is it it stays in our reserves and allows us to use it for other capital projects.
Thank you for that. Always good to see that efficiency and going after those state and federal grants. So thank you.
That's great. That's great. So I'll entertain a motion then to approve items.
I'll make a
presented.
motion to approve consent agenda 8 and 9.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any opposed. 8 and 9 are approved for our consent agenda. Thank you all for that. Now we begin the regular agenda items. Regular agenda item number 1, public hearing to consider application number 25-092, a request by Wyndham Village Homeowners Association to amend condition 27 of resolution 01-04 regarding tree spacing for the Wyndham Village property at Crestwood Boulevard and Oakwater Drive. This is a quasi-judicial action.
It is, Mr. Mayor. This is a little bit of a different ask, but I will, because Bradford, I think, is going to speak to this, I will swear him in before he does so. Raise your right hand for me. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And then, given the ask, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor, to turn it to Bradford. I don't think I need to take ex partes on this, given what Bradford, I believe, is going to say.
Okay, all right, then I will turn to our planning director.
Great. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This application, staff attempted to ensure prompt council agenda placing following the applicant's last TFSR meeting on September 25th, 2025. An error in the 300-foot notice documents provided by the applicant requires that this item be postponed to a time certain, and we're recommending that council makes a postponement motion to the next village council meeting on November 20th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. And I'll turn the floor back over to you, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we have do we need a motion and
Yes,
a second?
Mr. Mayor, we would need a
postpone?
motion and a second and a formal vote to postpone to the time certain date of your next council meeting, which is November 20th at 6:30.
Okay, I will entertain then such a motion.
I make a motion to postpone regular agenda item number 1 to the November 20th council meeting.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. It passes unanimously, and we will see this agenda item at the next council meeting. Thank you for that. Moving on to regular agenda item number 2. I haven't forgotten about reordering things. I'll get to that. Public hearing to consider application number 25-076, an amendment to the zoning code to add pet training as a special exception use within general commercial district. This is the second reading.
That's correct, sir. Yes.
And so I'll turn to Mr. O'Brien.
Great. Thank you. I would normally blow through this really quickly, but since we have one of the members here today, we'll just kind of touch and so that she gets a flavor of exactly what it is that we're doing with this item here. So we were approached by a business owner who wanted to train pets on a full-time basis and not as an accessory use to a pet supply store like we normally come across. And so we felt that the frequency of the dogs and the pets that are going to be trained in these facilities may need to have a little bit higher level of scrutiny. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to create a use and with some special requirements so that this use didn't become a nuisance within our shopping centers. So what we did was we defined pet training with this ordinance. We had some supplemental regulations, and those supplemental regulations are as follows. Inside the facility, there shall be a designated potty area where waste is collected, bagged, cleaned, and disposed of immediately. Conduct routine checks to surrounding areas outside of the facility to ensure the area is clear of any pet waste. These checks include the removal of fecal waste and sanitation of frequent urination. And this will be a special exception use within our general commercial zoning districts. That being said, Mayor, I'll turn the floor back over to you, and we're recommending approval of this application.
Okay, thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Does the applicant wish? Yes, please.
And Mr. Mayor, while she's approaching, if I could read the ordinance by title very quickly. with your permission, thank you. It's ordinance number 1064, an ordinance of the Village Council of the Village of Royal Palm Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 26 zoning at Section 2622 to add a definition for the term pet training, and Section 2689 CG General Commercial District to add pet training as a special exception use within a general commercial zoning district, and at Section 26-75.9 pet training to create an entirely new section to provide supplemental regulations for these facilities, providing that each and every other section and subsection of Chapter 26 zoning shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date and for other purposes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great, thank you for that. The applicant would like to share anything with us.
I'm famous since the last time you saw me because my book came out and it's flying off the shelves. So, dog training made simple. No, like I said last time, I'm excited to be a part of Royal Palm Beach, keeping families, children, and the community safe, teaching safe rules and good dog training to dogs.
Well, fantastic. We're delighted to have you here. So, with that said, then I will turn to the public and see if there are any public comments. Or do we have any cards?
No, Mayor.
We have no comment cards. Do we have any hands raised? Does anyone in the audience wish to say anything about agenda item number 2? Okay, not seeing any. I'll close the floor to public comment, and then I'll turn to the council. Any council members have any questions or comments? All right, not seeing any, then we'll move to a motion to approve regular agenda item number 2.
Motion to approve regular agenda item R2.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any opposed. It passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to the community, and good luck with your book
Thank you. Nice seeing everybody.
as well. So I need to gain the consent of the council to be able to reorder one item, that is to move up specifically regular item, agenda item number 7, so that we will take that on next in order to be able to then follow one that depends upon it, number 3. So if you watch my hands very closely, that's what it feels like. So I'm simply asking council's agreement.
Consensus is sufficient,
Consent.
yes, and staff apologizes. We didn't realize till after the agenda had published that we needed to have 7 before 3, so
Okay,
I apologize.
and of course,
That's fine.
that makes sense. So any problem with that?
Nope.
Disagreement? If not, okay, then we will do that. So the next regular agenda item will be regular agenda item number 7, which is building the suspense. Second reading and adoption of ordinance number 1062, amending Chapter 23, Traffic and Vehicles regarding parking requirements for manufacturing limited processing uses. So with that, then, I will turn to Mr. O'Brien, our planner.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. This is, again, a text amendment. We were getting multiple parking variances for 100 Aldi Way for the manufacturing and limited processing, and what we had discovered was that there was a possible double parking of the square footage of these manufacturing limited processing square foot facilities. And so what was required previously was to park the warehouse space at 1 to 500, and then also max work shift, number of employees, max work shift. We felt those, if you're parking the square footage where the employees would occupy, that may create a situation where we're double parking. So what we did is we looked at some local municipalities in our area. We looked at what the applicant had been requesting with their square footage and the variance requests that they had made. And so what we came up with is that for manufacturing and limited processing uses, parking shall be provided at 1 space per 1,000 square feet of gross floor area of warehouse use and 1 space per 300 square feet of gross floor area of office uses for the establishments over 20,000 square feet and where no bay is less than 3,000 square feet. The local planning agency considered this application on August 26th and recommended approval by a vote of 5-0. And staff is recommending approval of this ordinance, and this is the second reading. I'll turn the floor back over to you, Mayor.
Thank you. Is the applicant present?
This one is, Mr. Mayor's village initiated.
Oh, it's village initiated. Okay. Thank you. So
He's number 3.
the applicant is us.
Yes, sir. And
Yes,
if I could
okay.
read the title on this one as
Yes,
well, I have to read for all these ordinances. This one is ordinance number 1062, an ordinance of the Village Council of the Village of Royal Palm Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 23, Traffic and Vehicles at Section 23-51, required minimum number of parking spaces to revise the parking requirement for industrial and manufacturing uses, specifically for manufacturing and limited processing uses, providing that each and every other section and subsection of Chapter 23, Traffic and Vehicles shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So are there any cards for public comment?
No, Mayor.
And are there any hands raised for public comment? We have then an opportunity for the audience to make a comment on this particular item. If anyone wishes to, please indicate. Not seeing any, then I'll close the floor to public comment. And I do want to make a comment, though. If you all listen to the amount of detail that was just described, you might find it rather overwhelming. This is designed to actually help everybody, including the community, to be that detailed in the description of what's needed. And it relies heavily upon the expertise and the institutional knowledge that our staff has. Because if you think about it as a business owner, you may only do this once or twice in your life. Mr. O'Brien and his staff do this on a regular basis, and it is a tremendous amount of knowledge that they develop and the expertise they develop, and it's designed to actually help. It's a little overwhelming with the amount of detail, but it really works well, so I thought I'd just share that with you all. Having said that, then I look to the council for any comments. Not seeing any, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I offer motion for the adoption of ordinance number 1062, amending Chapter 23, item number 3, excuse me.
I have a motion. A second.
And just the maker of the motion was correct. Initially, it is item 7.
Initially, it was item number 7. It is now item number 3.
Perfect.
I'd like to offer a motion to approve that item.
Oh, okay. We have a motion and a second for the original agenda item number 7, which is now agenda item number 3. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any, then regular agenda item original number 7 is approved. Thank you very much for that. And we can move to regular agenda item number 3. It is an application, the application number 25-093, special exception for RP Logistics LLC to allow 35,540 square feet or square foot of manufacturing and assembly use at 100 Aldi Way. This is a quasi-judicial action, so I'll turn to the attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you state your name for the council, please?
Yeah, Mark Smiley.
And raise your right hand for me. I'll swear you in. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, and I'll turn to the council for any ex parte disclosures on this item. Thank you.
Okay, then I'll turn to Mr. O'Brien again, and please, for a staff presentation.
Great. Thank you again, Mayor. This is a approval for a special exception use approval. Our village code, or our rules and regulations for the different zoning districts, have permitted uses, which are uses permitted by right, and we also have special exception use approvals. These special exception use approvals are contemplated to require a higher level of scrutiny, and that higher level of scrutiny is based on the approval criteria. And I'll read through some of this approval criteria, and you can see where some of these uses, with their intensity, needs to be evaluated under this criteria. This proposed special exception is consistent with the policies and standards of the village's comprehensive plan, complies with all applicable development regulations of the village, does not have adverse environmental impacts, does not have adverse vehicular or pedestrian impacts, does not have an adverse impact on public facilities, including but not limited to police, fire protection, drainage systems, refuse disposal, water, sewers, and schools, which cannot be prevented by the imposition of conditions. The design of the proposed special exception does not have adverse impacts on adjacent properties or is detrimental to their use and peaceful enjoyment and will cause objectionable noise, vibrations, or fumes. It is compatible with the character and living conditions of the existing neighborhood. Does not have an adverse impact on property values in adjacent areas which cannot be prevented by the imposition of conditions. It's not a deterrent to the improvement or development of adjacent properties. Will not seriously reduce the quality or quantity of light and air available to adjacent properties. This slide here shows the location of this bay that this special exception use will occupy. The Planning and Zoning Commission considered this application on September 23rd, 2025, and recommended approval by a vote of 4-0. And staff is recommending approval of this application. And I'll turn the floor back over to you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Would the applicant care to make comment?
Two comments. First would be in line with your earlier comment. I just want to tell you how much we appreciate staff recognizing the parking issue. And, we, as consultants, we kind of battle it out sometimes, trying to get our points of view, this and that. This is where staff kind of recognized it. And what does it do? It keeps companies working in the village, or it brings companies to work in the village and create jobs. So we do appreciate that. The only other thing I would add is this is very similar to a previous approval where everything is cleaned. It's a company that cleans medical devices. Everything is brought through a few trucks, cleaned inside. There's no outside storage. It's reloaded into another truck and taken out to the next facility that's going to use it. So a very closed indoor operation.
Right. Well, thank you for that comment. We really do appreciate that. We do believe that our staff works hard to try to accommodate and at the same time maintain our village standards. So I appreciate that. I will now open it up to public comment. Do we have any cards?
No, Mayor.
We have no comment cards. Do we have any hands raised?
No, Mayor.
Would anyone in the audience care to comment on this agenda item? Not seeing any, I'll close the floor to public comment, and I'll turn to the council. Anyone on the council have any comments or questions about this? All right, then not seeing any, I will entertain a motion and a second.
I move that, go ahead, sir.
I'll make a motion to approve regular agenda item R3, which is technically the fourth one we're considering tonight. But let's just go by R3.
Let's just do that because we're going to continue to do this all evening long. So I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any opposed. It passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to regular agenda item number 4. I am not going to renumber it. Application number 25-012, a major site plan modification for Urban Design Studio to adjust landscape and sidewalk plans along Luffs Road and Southern Boulevard. This is a quasi-judicial action, so I will turn again to our attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you state your name for the record, sir? Thank you. Raise your right hand for me. I'll swear you in. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And I'll turn back to the council for any ex parte disclosures on this item.
Village staff.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to Mr. O'Brien there for presentation.
Great, thank you again, Mayor. The applicant is seeking a major site plan modification in order to modify the previously approved site and landscape plans to increase the sidewalk widths to 10 feet, include sidewalk cutouts along Wolf's Road to accommodate the approved trees, revise the landscape plan to modify the planting height of the royal palms along Erica and Wolf's Road, along with various other modifications to the landscape plan for a property located on Southern Boulevard, approximately 0.27 miles west of State Road 7. This is an illustration of the site plan, and for those who are in the audience tonight, believe it or not, all of your commercial properties do have site plans that contain things like parking stalls, locations of landscaping, fire hydrants, everything that you see on a site, there's a plan that shows the location of those items. And so tonight, there was some adjustments to the original plan approved by our council, and that's what the request is tonight, is to make some minor field adjustments to that original landscape plan. And so you'll see here on this slides, not to go through every single one of them, but you can see some red dots. Those red dots represent where changes will be occurring. Here's the first plan. Again, here's the second one. I know you guys can't see it, but I just wanted to illustrate the areas in which these changes will occur. And on this slide, the change that is occurring on this slide is to the Royal Palms were spec'd on the plat legend as 10-foot gray wood Royal Palms, and the applicant has installed 5-foot Royal Palms, but they do meet the height requirements of Village Code. Again, the local planning agency considered this application on September 23rd, 2025, and recommended approval by a vote of 4-0, and staff is recommending approval of this application. I'll turn the floor back over to you, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Does the applicant have anything to add?
Separate presentation. Bradford covered everything. I just wanted to say again, this is as typical when, we're going out in the field in the construction process and cleaning up and making our site consistent with boat conditions. So the work has been constructed and completed, but we're, formally going through the site plan process and have coordinated with staff as to the Royal Palm availability and the other improvements listed today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Then I'll open it up to public comment. Do we have any cards?
No comments, Mayor.
We have no comment cards. Do we have any hands raised?
No, Mayor.
We have no hands raised. Anyone in the audience care to comment on this agenda item? Not seeing any, then I will close the floor to public comment and turn to the council to see if there are any comments or questions from any members of the council. Not seeing any, I will entertain a motion to approve in a second.
I move that we approve, I think it's regular agenda item number 4.
It is.
Okay, as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any opposed. It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. All right, moving on to regular agenda item number 5. Second reading and adoption of ordinance number 1059, amending Chapter 26, zoning to clarify accessory structure and dwelling architecture requirements. This would be an opportunity for you to explain what that is.
I'll give it my best shot. So this text amendment is designed to bring some architectural features to these accessory structures, which are, I don't want to use the term shed because they've moved out of the realm of sheds and moved into the style of a much larger accessory structure on the properties. This is directed to our residential areas. And so these sheds that are over 150 square feet, these accessory structures over 150 square feet, we wanted to require or to include, but not limited to color, facade material, and treatments, and same type cement, tile, shingle, pitch and style, gable hip, mansard roof, etc., to match the principal structure, meaning the house, and that an addition and shall match the architectural style of the primary structure to include, but again, not limited to color, facade material, treatments, and brick and stucco. The local planning agency considered this application on August 26th and recommended approval. Village Council on first reading on September 18th, 2025, voted 5-0 and for approval, and staff is recommending approval of this text amendment. And I'll turn the floor back over to you, Mayor. This is the second reading.
Okay, thank you, Mr. O'Brien. So we have to read?
Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, we
Go
do
ahead.
need to read the title. It's ordinance number 1059, an ordinance of the Village Council of the Village of Royal Palm Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 26 zoning at sections 2657 accessory uses, buildings and structures, model homes, vehicle auction sales, and electric vehicle charging stations to clarify language regarding the current requirement that the architecture of permanent accessory structures match the architectural style of the principal primary structure, providing that each and every other section and subsection of Chapter 26 zoning shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, an authority to codify, and providing an effective date and for other purposes.
All right, thank you. So now I'll open the floor to the public, and do we have any comment cards?
comments.
We have no comment cards. Do we have any hands raised?
No, Mayor.
Would anyone in the audience care to comment on this agenda item? Not seeing any, then I will turn to the council, see if there are any comments or questions about this item. If there are not, then I will look for a motion and a second for regular agenda item number 5.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer a motion for approval of agenda number 5.
I have a motion. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any opposed. It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Regular agenda item number 6, second reading and adoption of ordinance number 1061, amending Chapter 15, landscaping, to specify timing and bonding requirements for the village tree bank. Turn to Mr. O'Brien again.
This is the one we've all been waiting for. I'm going to be going out with a bang on this one. So, Village Code, we're amending this section of Village Code. This section of Village Code is designed to preserve trees and vegetation within the Village of Royal Palm Beach, specimen trees more specifically. So what it does is it disincentivizes developers to come in and clear cut trees, although they do for the most part anyway, to pay us a fee in lieu of, which that fee in lieu of would be used to plant trees and beautify other areas within the village with vegetation. The other caveat to this is also not just the fee in lieu of, but if you take down a specimen tree, they also have the option of planting 2 or 3 other trees on site to mitigate the removal of the specimen tree. And so this text amendment is just to clarify the timing of when we collect that fee. And that would be first planning and zoning department permit, engineering department permit, or building department permit to include vegetation removal permits, whichever comes sooner. Again, the local planning agency recommended approval of this application. The Village Council considered this application on September 18th on first reading and recommended approval by a vote of 5-0. And staff is recommending approval of this application on second reading. And I'll turn the floor back over to you, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. One of the things that's important to us in Royal Palm Beach is our trees. And so the ordinance that Mr. O'Brien just mentioned is complicated, but it is very specific again, so we communicate effectively with everyone about how one goes about, and whether it be a developer or whether it be individual homeowners, removing and or replacing trees. We've been a Tree City USA for 20, 25 years. A long time. and we want to keep that because it is important to us. And so that's one of the reasons we put so much time and effort into defining what the requirements are and how to go about dealing with and maintaining our tree canopy, which we love dearly. So with that said, I will open it up to public comment.
Mr. Mayor, before you do that, if I could read the title, I'm sorry. Thank you. It's ordinance number 1061, an ordinance of the Village Council of the Village of Royal Palm Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 15, Landscaping and Vegetation Management, Section 15-79, Tree Replacement, in order to specify the timing of replacement tree installation or required bonding or payment into the village's tree bank, providing that each and every other section and subsection of Chapter 15, Landscape and Vegetation Management, shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for being patient with me to remind me of that again and again and again. I will catch on to it. So I will open the floor to public comment. Are there any comment cards?
No comments, Mayor.
Any hands raised?
No, Mayor.
Anyone in the audience care to make any comment about our tree landscaping ordinance that, as it's about to be modified? Not seeing any, I will turn to the council. Any comments, questions? If not, I will entertain a motion and a second to approve regular agenda item number 6.
I'll make a motion to approve regular agenda item number 6.
Second. Oh, sorry.
I have a motion in 2 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any opposed. Regular agenda item number 6 passes unanimously. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. O'Brien. Outstanding job again, as usual. And with an educational flair to it tonight. I thought that was good. So thank you. We are now then moving to regular agenda item number 8, which is the presentation and discussion of the strategic plan. And for that, this is what I've referred to, at least as far as I'm concerned, as kind of a midterm progress review. At the beginning of the year, actually March and April, we get together, we being the council and the staff, and put together a strategic plan. It actually covers all the way through a period of 15 years in the longest sense, a 5-year period, but also a 1-year action plan period. And based on that, the staff does the work that they do to implement the items that we identify as part of the strategic plan for the community. And then we also build our budget based upon the items in the strategic plan. So we have an idea, we have a plan, we have a purpose, and then we apply the resources that we have accordingly. It's a good way to do business. It's worked really well for us for 13, 14 years, something like that, about 14 years. So this is the first time, though, we've done a kind of a midterm review, if you will, and I think it's a great opportunity for us all to be reminded of what we've asked the staff to do and for the village manager to update us on the progress against those items. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Liggins.
What I'm passing down is the executive summary and 3 other documents that we're going to discuss in the next few minutes here. So to start with, this is one document I'm not handing down, but it's a document that summarizes everything in our strategic plan on 4 pages. It starts in the front with what our vision is, which is to be a hometown family community, our mission to provide desired municipal services and well-designed, well-built, and well-maintained facilities and infrastructure. And why do we do that? To create an aesthetically pleasing, active, and connected community. That's our vision. That's our mission statement. And every year, we look at what we want, what we need to do to accomplish that, and we break it down into 4 categories or goals: financially sound government, responsive services, exceptional parks and leisure choices, and Royal Palm Beach being a unique community, which the miscellaneous stuff ends up in that one. When we go through the process, we break the tasks into several different categories. The first category is a policy agenda. Policy agenda, things that are going to need to come back to the council to be addressed. Management agenda, things that don't need council approval to initiate or continue. And then then we have management in progress. There's at least 100 little things like audit the FPL franchise agreement, a new ERP mitigation and mainframe software. And they're all delegated to staff. And then the final thing is the major projects, which would be all the capital projects you see out there. What I'm going to focus on tonight are the items that will need to come back to council or have already come to council for approval, and your top priorities and your high priorities. The reason I gave you the executive summary document was so that as we go over these, you can see the other policy agenda items that are listed within each of those goals, that if we want to talk about them too, I'll leave it up to council to open up that discussion. So let's start with the policy agenda, top 1 priority. The number 1 priority was, and that will be on page of your executive summary, that'll be on page 6.
Say that again. Page
6. competitive compensation and preferred employee package to include a COLA in our budget and continue with the benefits that the employees have received in past years. That was included in our budget. That was brought to the council in the July budget workshop and then to our 2 public hearings in September and became effective October 1st. Another priority of the council was to have a balanced budget without a tax increase. As the council knows, we have reserves greater than our minimum 25% required reserves. We have used the reserves since we acquired them in 2006 for capital projects pretty much only, and very minimally have we used them for operating. We were able to do that again this year. And that was part of the budget that was presented to you in the workshop and then through the budget hearing in September. The third policy agenda, as it relates to Goal 1, was the village support for schools. We had a workshop on that with quite a bit of discussion, and then we came up with the Youth Civic Leadership Program, which we got 37 students to participate in. We presented to about 110 students, and 37 chose to participate. And what that requires is that they attend 8 public meetings, 4 in person, 4 online, or 4 in person mandatory, and then 4 online. If they want to attend 6, 7, 8 in person, that's their choice, but they have to do at least 4 in person. The purpose of that is to bring them to a council meeting and introduce them to village business, how village business is done, and hopefully after that they'll be more comfortable either volunteering, working for, or becoming a council person in the future. And that's Goal 1. There was one other policy agenda in Goal 1 about the intergovernmental strategy and action plan. Go on to Goal 2.
Before you move on, why don't we take it one goal at a time and see if the council has any comments or questions about any of these items as we move through them?
I don't have any.
I have a question for Ray. For item number 3, the village support for schools, is this also on another goal for regarding the survey we did for the principals and any action we're taking from the survey? I don't know if it's another goal.
I have the information, but there's no action being taken as of. I've gotten no direction from council as of yet on that survey. I have no direction to move forward with anything as a result of that survey.
I guess I need to look at the survey results again to talk through it. I don't have that in front of me.
Well, again, we did move out with the Youth Civic Leadership Program. There were a number of items that came back to us in that survey, but just as Ray said, we haven't really provided any further guidance. So if we want to do that, there's always the opportunity at a meeting, but also we have our strategic planning session coming up in March this year, so that would be another opportunity to do that. And I think we've got a good list to work from to see if we want to step further into developing an enhanced support of our schools. A lot of it's going to depend, and maybe you can share this with everyone, about the participation in these programs. Because at the end of the day, rightly so, we're going to ask, well, how many students actually participate in these things as part of our decision as to whether or not to add to the initiative that we took this year. And of course, we'd love to have great participation. We appreciate you being here, but feel free to invite some of the other members of the program to attend next time. So.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. You know, I was going to say one thing, though. I mentioned it earlier, and that is that with the property tax elimination initiative, which may ultimately wind up as a referendum item on this coming November's ballot, we're probably going to need to really get proactive. And I know the village manager has done some work in that area for us to begin to figure out what the best approach is for us, and then share it with some of the other cities in the county and especially in the state. But that's a really important initiative that you've got, so I appreciate you doing that.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to say, again, I told you, but I'm gonna say it in public. You knocked that out of the park when you put that together for the leadership with the youth at the Royal Palm Beach High School. You did such an excellent job. And I am so glad that you are here. You just don't know how happy I am, because I'm really hoping, again, I say, that youth will get involved and that you'll really enjoy it. Ask questions, put your hand up. Don't be afraid to do that, because I don't want to be 92 sitting up here. I want to be out there and then you be up here, okay? Thank you.
I would ask what you want to be doing at 92, but we'll leave that alone for the time being. The one other thing, and I totally agree, that our village manager did a great job of putting together that program. We need the student involvement in the program. One of the added features that I don't think was written up in the original document was that you are willing to do a agenda review prior to each one of our council meetings with anyone online to give you a little more background, which is what we get before we wind up sitting up here and having the conversation in public, which we're required to have. It's a great way to really get more depth and an opportunity to ask more questions. So I assume you're going to continue to do that.
Yes, I will.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. All right. No other comments? Let's move on to goal 2.
So goal two, we had 6 policy agendas, of which 2 of the items were ranked top or high by the council. And the first one was a comprehensive information security action plan to protect our data systems, direction, and funding. We did include funding in the budget. That plan is in process. Our IS director is responsible for it. I provided council, it's not in your package, so don't look, but I did provide a summary of it, the information security action plan that was provided some time ago. It is very detailed. I wasn't planning on going into any detail where our IS director is with it at this time, but I will tell you that it involves quite a bit of work, and the firewalls, new firewalls are in place. Some of how he was setting up the computers and us, getting the information from the computers, from the backup is all been that has been put in place, and he's continuing to work on completing this action plan. The other one was the public information enhancements. Get myself out of order here. This way. When I originally did my notes, I did it from this summary here, and it's a little bit in a different order than the policy agenda item, and some of them even kind of combined a little bit. So I'm gonna go. What I mean by that is the. Let me see here. We have the top priority number 1 was the competitive pay. Top priority number 2 was State Road 7 corridor redevelopment policy. That came to council already. That was a land use change to allow mixed use within our State Road 7 corridor. That came to council at the second reading at the last council meeting. The balanced budget, which I already talked about. Top priority number 4 was Tuttle Royale and making sure that project stayed consistent with the plan approved by the council, and everybody knows the status of that. Unfortunately, it did go into bankruptcy to protect the foreclosure, but I think all the council knows the importance of staying strong with the concept that was presented by the developer and approved by the council. We hope that that's marketable to somebody has the wherewithal to build the thing out. It will be a $500 million project minimum, and does take the right commitment for a long time. Then top priority number 5 was the Village Sport for Schools. Moving into the high priorities, the community events, festivals, marking comprehensive major events. That was community events, festivals, marketing them, assessment of the major events. I know there's a lot of concern here because they're costly. We do everything at those events free to the public. I will tell you that the total cost of the 5 major events for us is just under $500,000, $500,000. The other things that we do at the park, the concerts, the movies, things like that, we do have that. We did have that in the budget. So to start with the concerts, we do a concert the first and third Friday of every night, first and third Friday night of every month. It's about $3,000 a night it cost us. A little bit of a change up we did with that to make them maybe more appealing is we themed the music with the food and with the season. So Hispanic month, all that was combined as one theme. And we market it that way too. We have planned that out for all of our months that we're presenting that. So for example, we had in May, Cinco de Mayo with a Latin band with food trucks, Mexican food trucks. We did a back to school one in August that was successful. Juneteenth celebration we would do for June with Motown Jazz and R&B group. And that was part of this enhancement document right here that I did pass out. And that kind of explains all of it in some detail. Spooky Rock Night, October with Kiss Band, and so on.
So if I recall correctly, though, prior to that, we were doing a first and third Friday of the month, usually a tribute band, and there really wasn't a particular theme to it.
There was not.
And so this theme allows a really nice, complete kind of a package when you show up. I mean, you get the food that goes along with the actual entertainment, and I hope that once the word gets out that this is going on, we'll get really, really good responses to it. So I think personally it's a really good improvement to what is pretty darn successful program anyway. So thank you for doing that.
The other events that we do throughout the year are Cultural Diversity Day. We budget about $5,000 for that. Father-daughter dance, about $6,000 we budget. Bike rodeo, we budget $3,000. The mayor's golf tournament, we budget $11,000. And I'm giving you the cost, not necessarily any revenue associated with these. Depending on the event, sometimes there is revenue to them. I will say we're better at spending money on events than we are at making money on events.
If I remember correctly, we actually made $3,000 on the mayor's golf tournament this year. So, yes, we did. So
towards the scholarships. Yes. So Veterans Day, Memorial Day, Green Market, Shakespeare in the Park, all those events total up to about a little over $50,000. The concerts yearly is about $36,000. On our major events, we've kind of themed ourselves around the 5 seasons, one for each season, and then we added a seafood festival in the spring season that was presented to us by a vendor that was been doing seafood festivals elsewhere and wanted to bring it to Royal Palm Beach, and we accepted that some years ago. And those 5 major events, I'll start with the October one. The things we typically cost us each year are obviously the sound, the lighting, the entertainment, parking assistance, security overnight, inflatables, rides, the little train that we bring, supplies, decorations, tents, signs, banners, staff shirts, light towers, hospitality tent, and all that adds up to about just under $100,000 for the October one. The Winterfest is the one we do where we have the holiday light up, we have Santa Claus, we have hot chocolate, and some of all the same things that that I just listed for the Rocktoberfest. That one's about $120,000, and then we have July 4th, really our major event, probably our best attended event. Fireworks is the biggest expense there, and that brings the cost a little over $130,000. And then Westfest that we do in the spring, we are going to keep Westfest and the Seafood Fest separated by at least 3 weeks to 4 weeks, and not have them too close to each other. We scheduled both of those events around other larger events out there, like the chili cook-off they have at the fairgrounds, and I think bourbon and something festival they have in Wellington. Bourbon and what?
Bacon.
Bacon.
How come you know that?
Bourbon and bacon. Okay. And we were pretty conscientious about that in the past. But that was also when we were charging for the rides, and now that everything's free, I don't know if we're competing, especially all the kid stuff is free. I don't know if we're competing for the same people than the others. So I think we have a little bit more flexibility in keeping the festivals, our Seafood Fest and Westfest separated, and not worrying as much about maybe another event happening.
So this is an opportunity, though, for the staff to provide or ask any questions and provide any input on any of these issues, so feel free to do that. I will say one thing to the audience, and that is, so as we try to figure out how we're going to deal with a change to property taxes, think of those numbers that you just heard the village manager mention for each one of these events. 100,000, 150,000. That is a lot of money that we spend on these events. We love these events. They're very successful. They are a regional event. It's not just Royal Palm Beach. And so part of our challenge is going to be to figure out, if we have less revenue, whether it be because of adjustments of property tax or something else, how we maintain these events. I mean, it appears to me that they are very popular. Just attend them and you'll see that. And one of the expenses is free carnival rides. The lines are huge, so they're obviously very popular. So I share that with you all to say this is the kind of thing that we deal with when we hear something like an initiative to eliminate property taxes. So I didn't want to miss the opportunity to kind of point that out. Any other?
That's all I have. They all total up to, like I said, just under $5,000. And in the order of things, $500,000. I mean, $500,000. $500,000. I was thinking of that elimination of property tax and what would be left. And they were the high priorities that the council ranked. That was community events and festivals, and then comprehensive major event assessment. That was high priority number 1 and number 3. Let me go on to high priority number 1 and high priority number 5. Or a portion of 1 and a portion of 5, and the reason I combined them is one of them was resident information expansion, and another one was public information enhancement. I don't know how they ended up in the 2 separate priorities, or pieces of the 2 separate priorities, but I did combine them in the report that I provided you that have enhancement, community engagement. That report there, it kind of it deals with both of those. Public information one, public information outreach report. And what that report is the items are numbered, and they're all the things on how we communicate with the public. And each one of them have a little bit different purpose. So the first one is the Village Voice. It's a monthly e-newsletter. It's what we need for day-to-day operations and what we need to get information out to people. It is available digitally on the village website. It is posted on social media, and it is emailed to anybody who subscribes to the Village Voice. The things we put in there are all upcoming events, council meetings, community reminders, and other important updates. Community Connection magazine, the frequency on that is twice a year, January and August. And if you keep both of those magazines, you will have every program we offer in the Parks and Recreation Department. The comprehensive magazine offers a detailed coverage of village events, rental facilities, the PBSO and public safety updates, and general community news. We do distribute it online. We share it on social media. It is emailed to subscribers. You go to our website to subscribe. We do print copies of it, anywhere from 500 to 1,000, and distribute them at Village Hall, Cultural Center, Rec Center, and Sporting Center. One of the suggestions that the clerk's office came up on this, while we know mailing all of them out would be very, very costly, and we don't know if that would be a significant benefit, but they came up with the idea of mailing a postcard with a QR code on it, and that would give people connection to the magazine, and they could download it that way. Postcards are less expensive to send out than a 20-page or 15-page magazine. So that was a suggestion to kind of deal with I don't get it at home anymore. We communicate through RecTrack. It is a web track in the village's online Parks and Recreation platform, allowing residents to register for youth and senior programs.
Are there any of I think there are 15 items?
Yeah.
Are there any of those that there have been recommended improvements that actually have taken place? I'm looking at the list. I don't see any other than the one that you just mentioned.
We are updating our webpage. We are developing an app. That's new and in the progress, and they were new for this year. And we do upgrade each of these documents throughout the year on an as-needed basis. Obviously, the hurricane guide gets updated. We have the Mayor's Vector newsletter that goes out before each council agenda. And if you remember, that was created from the mayor's seat on what was approved at a previous agenda, what's coming up on the next agenda. And then we try to look forward to things that we think may be of interest or controversy to the public that will be coming up in the future, and put them out there on that. And if you're a subscriber to that Mayor's Vector, and you read it, you will know everything the council has approved and what they may be approving in the future. I think before this, we used to get a lot of people coming to the council and say, I didn't know anything about this. How was I supposed to know this? And it gave the mayor the opportunity to say, well, do you get the Vector? Do you subscribe to my Vector? And if the answer is yes and they read it, then they were aware of it. So it was one location, because as you see, we have many, many documents that go out to the residents, and many, many places people can go and look for things. And that was one that was like, if you're interested in what the council is approving or what they're going to be looking at then this next week, it's the quickest, easiest way to learn that and not be mixed with any other information.
And I want to add to that, if anybody has any suggestions about that one in particular, I'm wide open, including the title, which I've kind of inherited. I've chosen not to change it because I really haven't figured out a better one. But it is, so if there is such a thing as a council nerd, it is that person who loves the details of something in particular, right? And they really get into the details. That document is great if you really, really want to get into the details. It also has some links that are very useful to other things. So it's an interesting thing. I've wrestled with it, and I'm open to any suggestions on that one whatsoever. So unless anybody have any other comments about any of the...
I have two, Mr. Mayor. I have two questions. For number 4, the social media platforms, the last bullet on the first page says improvement strategy, launch targeted ad campaigns to promote a business to increase attendance at events such as West Fest, Rock and, all that. Is that underway? Are we doing that? Like, can you give us a little more detail on that, please?
We have not launched anything as it relates to the meta business. Looking in the pricing of meta business it's very expensive to do targeted marketing through the social media platforms. Very expensive. So I'm not sure that's going to be a solution for us. You can get extremely detailed on who you want to target to market these things. You know, anybody can sign up for our information on our website and get information. When you start looking at using social media and their business solutions for marketing, I just don't see that as a solution for us because of the cost.
I hear you about the costs. I know when we did our strategic planning session, we talked about, I think a few of us were saying that we heard from constituents that they didn't know about certain events going on. And I think I totally understand the cost piece. So I would definitely recommend continue to look at other options if this one is too expensive, if people aren't looking for it, but if we get it in their face somehow.
And our email database grows and grows and grows, and as it grows, more and more people will be getting information sent to them because of that. And over time, it'll get better.
I have a question to that point. Are we posting anything to the neighborhood groups on Facebook? There's several neighborhood groups on Facebook. There's also Nextdoor. I don't know if that would help with the social media without having to spend money for ads.
And if they allow us in their groups, they're closed groups, so they have the option of not allowing you in. So we don't really spend money on those sites, or I guess if they don't let organizations, they'll let the people in, or some people, not all. Some of them, like I think your area, unless you live in the area, you're not getting in.
Right.
At least that's the criteria that I've known that they used.
So that might be something worthwhile pursuing. I mean, all they can say is no, which they offer that up on the front end. I know, like you're just saying, if you don't live here, we don't accept you. However, I've noticed that I'm on a number of those, even though I don't live everywhere, and yet there is that opportunity. Because at the end of the day, what this is about is just sharing information to keep the public informed. Because hopefully, what results from that is a belief that we really are doing good work for the community, and that we can be trusted and going forward with things and get the support of the public. So any way we can find to get more information out and more venues, more mechanisms, I think it's better.
And the other thing we got to be careful on those is well, one, since they're closed, and I'm on the ones that have accepted me. I'm not on the ones that denied me. But you got to be careful about communication on them because it's a closed system, and
absolutely.
And, we have public records rules, and so we got to be careful about that. Very careful about that, especially on closed networks.
Okay.
I have one more on item number 14, the village website. I really like the look of that prototype that you provided. Looking forward to seeing more of it. It's very cool.
Okay, great.
And we, like I said, the app, I did email, I think all of you a little while ago that it'll be in kind of test mode and for us to all take a look at for 30 days before we go live on that. The business guide, I do want to comment on that. The chamber, with the mayor, had a roundtable business listening session, and some of the complaints we got came out of that is signage and getting signage permits when you're doing it on your own and you've never done it before can be complicated for the new businesses. We are looking at compiling all our information that we provide applicants for getting new signs and permits for that matter into one document that we can hand out. It'll take a little while to put that together, but that's kind of what we're going to work on as a solution to people. If once they get this document, they read through it, they might have a much easier opportunity to go through our process and know what we're expecting. For like in the current business guide, we have a lot of information on the business tax receipt, which every business has to have when they start here. But we don't necessarily have it in there about signage, and signage has been something commented a lot. So we'll modify that document to put some things in there about signage, and then obviously refer them to other departments that would be doing the sign permits and things that were required.
Good.
The thing with signs, why everybody likes to think it's easy, every single sign is custom. It's custom in its dimensions, it's custom in their colors, it's custom in what they want to say, and there's rules and regulations on what we allow. If you got a sign that's consistent with our code, planning and zoning can sign it off. It doesn't even come to the boards. If it's consistent, if it's in a shopping center, it's consistent with the code and consistent with the shopping center master signage plan, it can be approved by staff. That's where we run into the biggest problem, because the people that rent small bays want something different than the master sign code for the commercial shopping center, because they want theirs to be different.
Yeah.
But they can't process theirs until they process a modification to the overall shopping center. And that is pretty cumbersome to do that. And a lot of them start down that path to do it, but they have to get a lot of other people involved. The owner of the shopping center, maybe the other stores, or whatever's required, and that gets very frustrating for them. So that's the public information. This document with the 14 items on it is all the ways we communicate with the public. And we do have a staff position that's dedicated to doing that.
I mentioned to you the other day about reaching out to a town crier to get that coverage for any of our events. And while, as you pointed out correctly, most of the events, but not everything that we do that involves either staff or elected officials, us, show up on the calendar. But I think reaching out, as I mentioned to you earlier, on a regular basis for anything that we know of that's coming up for coverage provides us with, first of all, free coverage through the town crier. And of course, they're both on electronic media as well as the good old-fashioned paper for those of us who so like that. So hopefully we'll get more active engagement with town crier on some of that.
Okay, moving right along. Old commercial shopping centers, I think I provided you the code enforcement's work that they're doing on that right now. That was this document here that says Community Development Strategic Plan Initiative. It was under Goal 4, Policy Agenda number 3. They are aggressively working on that. I think as of the end of August, they had 72 courtesy notices out to commercial properties. They put a more concerted effort to that into the commercial areas, and I think they're getting results from that. We talked about the comprehensive information. That was all the items from the top and high priority of the policy agenda. I know I stopped when I got off the kind of the path that I was going on going over these. So I went over all those. If we can get back to the executive summary document, I just want to finish up what I said I would do on that. And you can see under Goal 2 and 3, we talked about. The other 4 are there. If council has any questions or concerns about any of those other 4 that they would like me to update them on. That was on page 8 of the document I gave you.
Right. Okay.
On Goal 3, there were 4 policy agenda items. 2 of them we already talked about. That was the community events and the comprehensive major event assessment. There were 2 others on there. The public art program, we talked about it at budget workshop, and we talked about it at the public hearings. And then updating our play sets, which we're in the process of doing. On the Goal 4, the policy items that we had 5 there, 3 we already talked about, and were high priority or top priorities. If anybody wants any questions about the other 2, we can address them now if you would like. The accessory structure ones actually came up on tonight's agenda. That was the second reading, and that's now done. Crestwood Boulevard is actually done too. We got direction from council. We were in front of council a few months ago on that and got direction on that. So that's the status of all the policy agenda items that are involve council and council future. If you have any questions,
Are there any
concerns, I'd be more than glad to answer any of them.
I'd just like to say thank you. Appreciate this update. It's helpful to see, what we're doing, and I also want to recognize everyone out there that's stuck with us through the night.
Extra points.
Yeah.
I wanted to say thank you too. I definitely appreciate everything that you do. I believe, to be perfectly honest with you, that we have the best city/village manager in the United States, let alone in the county. And I'm saying that publicly, and that means you can't go nowhere for 50 years. But for you, so that you understand, the bottom line is that we...
Not too long. What are you talking about?
Well, it starts with an R, but he was just playing. But anyway, as council members, what we do is we deal with policy and things of that nature and emergency situations. What he does, he deals with everything else, like staff and making sure that things get done for the residents and what he was talking about with the events, so on and so forth. He has staff that works under him, and he manages that part. Because if we had to do everything, the policy and everything, and the staff, then that would create, some really, really, really tough working environment. And there are some dioceses, there are some cities, there are some villages where, council members try to do both. But we don't have that problem. We let him do his job, and we're here for him, and he let us do ours. So that when you become a council member, you'll know, right? Okay, good. I also want to say that I am serious about when I come to Royal Palm Beach, when I drive into Royal Palm Beach, it makes me proud to see how clean our sidewalks are. They make a difference. They really do. To see how our village is arranged, to see the people in the village going to our events and enjoying themselves, and then to meet some of the other people that come from other cities to be a part and to take part in our events. And that makes me really proud. So if we can continue that, when you become councilwoman, I expect for you to, continue that hometown feeling, okay? All right, thank you.
And I thank you for that, but I got to admit, I learned a long, long time ago that nothing here gets done with any individual. It happens because of all the teams, and everything is a group of teams, and each one of those teams support the other team. You got the council team here that I directly coordinate with I have my department head team that I coordinate with directly, and I rely on them wholeheartedly to do their jobs and do it in a way where it doesn't require follow-up. An email is sent, things are done. I don't have to worry about whatever's in there not getting done. And then they have their staff that they rely on. And it's 150 people all together, so if you counting the council and all full-time and part-time employees. And then I couldn't even list how many contractors we have on board between the maintenance contractors, the sheriff's office, the fire rescue, and it absolutely is a team, and no one person can take credit for anything that gets done here.
Right. Well, thank you all for that, because I totally agree. That expression, it takes a village. Well, it takes a village team, actually, is what it takes to be able to make all this stuff happen. And so we've got a really great team here. We really do. And I appreciate your leadership, and I appreciate you guys as well. So any other comments on the midterm
Just
review?
thank you. Thank you for going through and the extra work that it took to do that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and so for the few that remain, I'll show you a document that we get once a quarter, and I know that it's impossible for you to see it, but it's color-coded, and it has every single action item with the individual steps that are required to complete the action item that's based upon our strategic planning. And we get an update every quarter. And as Mr. Liggins points out, if you just sit down and dig into this thing, you can find out everything you would ever want to know pretty close. And just to show off a little bit, see, it's dog ear, written all over, all right? So I'm taking that advice, and it is really a great document, but it requires a tremendous amount of work to put this together. So thank you to the staff, thank you to the village manager, thank you to you guys for what you do and the progress that we make constantly. So, and thank you all for sticking it out. You get extra points. You really do. I promise you. Anything else that needs to come before the council tonight?
Can I point one more thing out? Since you're pointing out this report, which is a very exciting report, the percent complete is 63% at 50% of the year. So we're ahead of schedule.
We are indeed. And at the end of every year, it's substantial. It is an accomplishment thing. There you go. There you go.
And team.
Okay, would you like to make a comment? Would you like to come on up? The choice is.
Hi, my name's Lori Cabrera. I'm a resident of the wonderful village, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, Ms. Sharps, on everything that you said, and I feel that pride too. And I wanted to thank all of you for your efforts in maintaining the quality of life in the village. It's a wonderful place to live, a great place to raise kids. I look forward to enjoying my retirement here. When I look at all the different events that are going on, it's not just wonderful for younger folks who are raising their families, but for the seniors who may have transportation issues, to be able to find activities and friendships and maintain vitality in your own community is so incredibly important. So thank you all for maintaining that. Mayor, I wanted to comment. You said something about the town crier as a way of publicizing events. I'm wondering if the QR code to subscribe to these different issues to have information available is something that they could do as well.
That's an excellent idea. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you for those kind remarks. We really, really do appreciate it. And so as to not snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory, I think we will adjourn the meeting tonight. Thank you. Thank you all very much.